I got the goods. What's up, friends? Welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are doing well. I have an exciting review for you guys today. We're going to be talking about the new Chanel 2023 Spring Beauty Collection, specifically these two gorgeous face and eye palettes. I also have one of the lipsticks from the collection and one of the eyeliners to show you guys. We're going to be swatching, demoing, and reviewing these in daylight today, giving you guys a nice representation of all of the shades, and I'm going to be letting you guys know if I think that these are worth the money. So if you want to hear all my thoughts, then keep watching. And if this is your first time here, then welcome. My name is Sophia, and this is my channel that focuses on all things beauty and luxury. Every single week, I upload new content on new beauty releases like this. I love Chanel, Dior, Tom Ford, Sephora brands, Pat McGrath, Natasha Denona. Those are some of my favorite brands to talk about here on my channel. I also do a lot of favorites videos, and I also cover luxury, fashion, and lifestyle. My review style is very much focused on giving you guys the most realistic and helpful representation of all of the products. I try and make all of my videos very fun, very lighthearted. We like to have fun with makeup here, but also extremely helpful. I like to say that I spend my money so that you don't have to. So if that sounds like it's your jam, then you're in the right place, my friend. Hit that subscribe button to join our fam, and you can also click the notification bell to hear about every time I upload a new video. All right, party people, let's get into this review. Please don't forget to give me a thumbs up. I would very much appreciate it. I'm gonna start off talking about whatever details I have regarding where you can get this collection, because it's a little bit confusing. Chanel doesn't exactly tell us when these things are going to drop. I did share a little bit of information this morning over on my Instagram, along with some daylight swatches. If you're not following me over there, you definitely should, because that's where I give you all the sneak peeks. I let you know when things drop, when they come back in stock. And what I told you guys over on my Instagram is that these right now, at least at the time of me filming this video, they have become available in Chanel boutiques. That's kind of what we have been seeing over the past couple releases, is that these collections, they will drop in your local Chanel boutique first. I got this at the Brickell Center in Miami. For those of you who are new here, this is not my usual setup. I'm actually just enjoying some warmth here in Miami, but I live up in Boston, and I've heard that they are actually in the Boston boutique as well. So they're starting to drop in the boutiques. However, I don't think they're gonna be online in stores for another couple of weeks. So you know what? Be patient. If you don't have a local boutique, you can call one and they can ship them to you, or you can just wait for them to come online, watch this review, decide if you want to buy them in the first place. There's also going to be another collection. I'll put a photo up here if I can find one. That is going to be the Chanel Le Beige collection. This is a separate collection. It's going to be dropping at a separate time. I heard that the launch date for this is that it's going to launch first in Asia on February 10th. I don't know if that means it's gonna be in the boutiques, but this is a separate collection, very different color scheme. It's very light and springy, pastel-y, so we're just gonna have to wait for that. But for now, all I know is that these are available in boutiques, and I will list down below the location where I picked these up in case you guys wanna call them up or maybe pay them a visit and you guys can get this collection as well. Quick overview of the products that are in this collection. First up, obviously the things that we're all excited about here, these oversized face and eye palettes. I'll put them up to my head for reference. These are pretty big. You're getting 12 grams of product with these. There are also a couple of other things that are a part of the collection. There are 4 velvet matte lipsticks. I have one of them here to show to you guys. And just so you guys know, the colors that are merchandised as a part of this collection, they are existing colors that were just launched as a part of that larger lipstick release that they came out with a couple of weeks ago. So the color that I picked up, it's been swatched by a lot of other people, but in general, the colors are new. They have 4 that they've kind of lined up to be matching, you can say, along with this collection. There's also a rose gold eyeliner that I'm going to show you guys. There's also a new mascara. The formula is not different, but the shade is kind of like a reddish burgundy tone. I didn't pick that up. Comment down below. I don't know. I don't wear colored mascara all that much, or I'll buy it thinking I'm gonna wear it and I never do. So I decided not to pick that up. There's also 2 beautiful nail polishes, which I didn't pick up because I get the gel and the dip at the salon, so I'm not really gonna use them much. And then there's also a really pretty balmy highlighter stick, which I also didn't get because if you saw my recent declutter, then you will know I had to declutter a lot of products like that. I just don't get that much use out of them. So today I'm gonna be focusing on primarily these 2 palettes, and then I'm also gonna give you my thoughts on the lipstick and the eyeliner that I picked up as well. And without further ado, let's talk about the basic details of these eyeshadow palettes and show you guys some swatches. These are made in Italy, yay, like a lot of other luxury products. They have an 18-month shelf life, and they also retail for $90. Now, they are very expensive, but you are getting 12 grams of product. For reference, a regular Chanel eyeshadow quad has 2 grams of product, just 2 grams of product. So you are getting a lot here. You can use it on the eyes, you can use it on the cheeks. I'm going to show you guys in the demo. Let's dive into the swatches. The first one I want to show you guys is the lighter of the two palettes, and this palette is called number 957 Tendresse. I want to show you guys this in natural light. This is kind of like the morning light so that you can really see how this is going to look in person as much as possible. Taking a look at the swatches here, we have a nice berry tone shade. Then we have a soft and shimmering peach. We also have a warm tone rose, and we have finally a neutral soft brown. You guys can see from the swatches, hopefully you can see, these are pretty luminous. They're not glittery, but they very much are kind of like a glowy formula, both in the swatches and also when translated onto the cheeks, which you will see in the demo. Both of these palettes, hopefully you can tell from the close-ups, have 3 shades that are a little bit more subdued, luminous, but not shimmery. And then you get 1 shimmer shade, which is great because you can kind of use that to brighten up the eye and also as a highlighter. Because remember, these palettes are pretty multi-purpose. Now let's take a look at the deeper of the two palettes. This one is called number 958 Charactere. I was very surprised, but also thrilled to see something so kind of like bright and bold from Chanel, especially from a spring collection. And taking a look at the swatches here, you can see we have a deep rose, one that's a little bit deeper than we saw in the last palette. We also have a shimmering gold highlighter shade. We have a deeper berry shade. And then finally, we also have a bright red. Both of these palettes, and I did hear this in some of your feedback, they do look quite red when you look at them together, but when you actually look at the swatches, it's really just the deeper one that has 1 true red shade. I would say the rest are more like rosy and berry tones. So if you're afraid of reds, just kind of keep that in mind. You guys are going to see in the demo, there really is only 1 shade, and it's this one in the corner here that pulls a true red. I also want to show you guys just some side-by-side swatches of each of the palettes. In all of these comparisons, the lighter palette is going to be on the left and the darker palette is going to be on the right. So hopefully this will give you guys an idea of kind of the difference in tones between the two palettes. I also wanted to compare a couple of the shades from each of the palettes side by side. So first off, each of the palettes have 2 berry shades, and I wanted to show you the difference between those side by side. Once again, the lighter palette on the left and then the darker palette on the right. I also want to show you guys a side-by-side of the 2 shimmery shades, or I guess you could call these the highlighter shades. The one that is in Tendresse is a soft pink. This is definitely going to work a little bit better on fairer complexions, or those of you out there who have cooler toned complexions. And then the one in Charactere is a much like brighter yellow tone type of gold. A couple more details that I want to share with you guys about these palettes. I was asking the sales associate in the Chanel boutique, why the oversized palettes? Like, why did Chanel release these? Because we really haven't seen anything like this from Chanel ever in a while. Comment down below if you've ever seen Chanel release something like this. And she was saying that, you know, these are kind of designed for the woman that's on the go, who wants something that's very multi-purpose. And in a way, these are very effortless because you can put them all over the cheeks. You can put them on the eyes. They're very functional. They're very practical. You get a couple of different colors to work with. She said that that's kind of what they were going for, but they still wanted to retain that kind of effortlessness, the chicness, the softness, and the sophistication of what is Chanel beauty. And so that's kind of what they were going for here. I also asked her about the formula and how this formula maybe compares to the blushes that are in the Chanel collection. And she said that this is not the same formula. This is not a situation where they just like reformulated a couple of the blushes that they have in the existing collection and popped 4 of them in a palette. This formula is a little bit different. It's a little silkier and it's also a little bit more pigmented, she said, because it is meant to also be applied on the eyes. So you guys are gonna see in the demo in just a second how you can kind of control the pigment depending on what type of brush you use. You can build these up. So I just wanted to mention that as well. This is a different formula. So if you already like the blush formula from Chanel, these might, in some cases, depending on the shade, be a little bit more pigmented, which I think for some of you is going to be a very welcome feature. Before we get into the demo though, I also wanted to show you the other 2 items that I picked up from the collection. The first one is the eyeliner. This is in the Yeux Waterproof formula. Love this formula. You guys have heard me say so many times, one of my favorite eyeliner formulas ever. I've kind of been collecting these as of late, and this is in the shade Or Rose. I didn't see this as a part of their permanent collection, Someone told me that this was an existing shade, but I got it because I didn't have it. I want to show you guys a swatch of this. This is definitely kind of like a brightening shade that you would pop maybe in the waterline in the inner corner to give a little bit of like a brighter, more awake look to the eyes. It's very natural, and if you have a deeper skin tone, it's gonna pop a lot more than it does on my skin, and we're gonna use that in the first look. I also got one of the Rouge Allure Velvets, as I mentioned earlier in the video, and I got this in the shade 62 Libre. This is like a really, I'm wearing it right now, it's a really soft, kind of brownie nude. It's a little bit more nude and brownie than maybe like a Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk. And so yeah, you can see what it looks like here on my lips, and I'm showing you the daylight swatches as well. So we will also be using these in the demo. And so without further ado, guys, let's dive into the demo. I'm gonna show you guys how I used all of these products on my face. We're gonna be doing a lighter, more softer look, and also this slightly like more colorful, dramatic look that I have on today. So let's get into it. Okay, friends, let's dive in. I'm gonna be doing a look with each palette on the cheeks and on the eyes. First, I'm gonna do the lighter palette, then I'm gonna take all my makeup off. We're gonna redo everything with a look using the darker palette. I want you guys to really kind of see what the full ensemble would look like if you were to use this as a very like multi-purpose palette. So first, we're gonna start off with the lighter palette. I've got a bunch of different brushes here for us to work with. I'm gonna start off with the cheeks, and I'm gonna start off with this beautiful nude color first. And this, I mean, I love a nude blush, so I'm actually really excited for this shade. Let's buff it in. I'm using the new Sonia G Keyaki Buffer Brush, which is absolutely amazing. And you can see it's very light, and see that little bit of sort of illumination that it gives me. I'm filming in completely natural light, by the way. It's very light. I'm curious if we can build this up, so I'm just kind of digging my brush into the pan. Yeah, you can definitely build this up, but I think this particular shade, I'm curious how it will pull on maybe a deeper skin tone or even a tanner skin tone. For the record, I am the shade B10 in the Chanel foundations. I'm wearing the Chanel No. 1 foundation today. I'll link that information down below so you guys can reference it. I'm quite pale, and this shade, it looks extremely pretty and natural on my skin tone, but it is pretty light, and it has a little bit of a sheen. So if you're someone that you don't really like glowy blushes, I don't know if you're gonna like this shade. I think next I'm gonna dive into this poppier color on the other cheek. Yeah, okay, so this one's definitely a lot more pigmented. I think they remind me a little bit of maybe the Hourglass blushes, how they give a little bit of illumination, but I'll get super close here so you guys can see there's no glitter. It's really just kind of a natural glow, as if sort of like maybe a little bit of your natural oils were peeking through. You know what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in with a different brush back into the lighter shade. I'm gonna be using the Niji Pro from Sonia G. This actually does a really good job just because of the bristle type of picking up more pigment. Okay, so depending on the brush, you can definitely get more pigment. So I'm going in with a denser brush into that lighter shade, and I can definitely tell the difference. It really did pick it up. That's super pretty. I like both of them. The nude shade is something that I think I would wear every day. I pretty much always reach for shades like this. I don't think I have one that is quite this neutral. It's almost like it's not a blush. It's almost a little bit of like a supernatural bronzer. You could use this as a bronzer, but it is quite glowy. It depends on if you want this type of glow, you know, on your forehead, and I definitely would not put it in the hollows of my cheeks. I don't think that would be, I don't think it would look natural. Let me just say that. Using the Buffer Pro again, I'm now gonna go into the deep berry shade. I like to use this type of brush with the deeper types of shades because it does a good job of kind of blending it out on my very fair skin. So ooh, that's very pretty. I'm just layering it on top of that nudier blush. This packs a punch. If you were afraid that this wasn't going to be pigmented, it's pigmented. I don't even think I need to apply more. I'm just gonna kind of buff it into the skin, and I think that these colors layer pretty well. I mean, so far, I really like the look of these, and also once I'm done each look, I am gonna go outside and just show you in different types of light how these look on the face. I want to go into the more highlighty shade, so I'm going to go in with the Wayne Goss airbrush, and I want to show you there just how much it picked up. So it picked up very easily. Let's go on this side first. Ooh, That's beautiful. If you like a pink highlight, I think you will enjoy this. I think that if you like the Chanel luminizers, you're going to like this shade. And especially if you don't have a pinkier toned one, this one might be a little bit more unique. It adds a little bit of blushness as well, almost like one of those Charlotte Tilbury Beauty Light wands. I love those, except this is a little bit more natural, a little bit more subtle. So this is what we have for the cheeks. Now I'm gonna do a wearable eye look. First, I'm gonna dip into the nudie shade, and I'm just gonna apply that to the crease. It is a very soft and subtle shade. Like, this is very much that type of Chanel vibe where less is more. I actually think that this nudie shade, I think that if you were in a rush one day, you could easily take this nudie shade, whack it on like real quick all over the lid, and I feel like it would be foolproof. Next, I'm gonna go into the coral shade with the Sonia G Jumbo Blender. This is the brush that I was talking about. It's very chunky and good for just kind of laying the color all over the eye. I'm also gonna put that peachy shade on the lower lash line. Next, I'm gonna go into that deep berry shade using a fluffy brush. And I'm just going to apply this to the outer corner to add a little bit of depth. See, it's not a super scary shade. I also don't think it pulls that red on the eye. It's more of a berry tone shade. So think of Charlotte Tilbury Walk of No Shame. You know those tones that she has that are just a little bit deeper than like the Pillow Talk family? That's kind of what this is giving me. It picks up very, very well, this berry shade. So if you wanted to do a smokier look, if you wanted to do a deeper look for evening, I definitely think you could kind of go into this shade. Maybe, you know, after work or later in the day, you could put a little bit on the cheeks, put a little bit on the eyes, and it would just kind of deepen up the entire look. And then lastly, I'm gonna go into the beautiful shimmering pink, and I'm gonna apply that to this. Oh, that's so pretty. I'm gonna apply that to the center of the eye. It's very ethereal, and I'm also putting that down here in the inner corner. I also wanted to try out for this look the eye pencil that I picked up in Or Rose. This is very much the kind of thing that I would use this for brightening because it's so light. So I'm just gonna kind of line my eyes here and also along the bottom lash line. This is not gonna add like depth and dimension to your lashes. This is very much like a highlighting kind of brightening pencil. Okay friends, this is what we have so far. Now I'm going to apply the lipstick in number 62 Libre. This is in their matte formula. I love matte lipsticks. This is the one that I was eyeing when these first released. So these are not the most matte lipsticks. They're very creamy. All right, and this is the final look using the lighter palette Tendresse. I'm gonna take you guys outside so we can see this with even more natural light on my face so you guys can get a good idea of all the finishes. We'll get up close and personal, so let's head on outside right now. All right, friends, so apologize if you hear any airplanes. There's a bird chirping over there, but I wanted to show you what this looks like. See how this side is deeper, but it's not too deep. I was able to blend it out. I could have built that berry shade up a little bit more, but everything is extremely natural. This reminds me a lot of the Charlotte Tilbury holiday palettes that came out this past year. It also reminds me of the Hourglass formula, like very soft and glowy. It could highlight a little bit of texture on your face. If you don't like glowy blushes, I don't think that this is gonna be for you, but I really like the soft and romantic look that this created. Comment down below and let me know what you think of the look that I created with this lighter palette. Hopefully these close-ups are helpful for you. All right, friends, I am back and fresh face. I redid all of my makeup so that we could have a fresh look using the darker palette, which is called Charactere, which, by the way, I know I'm butchering these names. I think to start off with the cheeks, I'm gonna start with this softer rose, just kind of like we did last time, going in with the lighter color. I'm gonna apply it to this cheek. This color has definitely a lot more pigment than that light beige that was in Tendresse. This is a very beautiful soft color. If you like a nice soft rose, you're gonna enjoy this. Is it a very unique color? No, it's not, but it's very wearable, and I'm excited to put this one on the eyes because I think this also would be a very nice one and done type of shade. I think on this cheek, I'm gonna go in with the bright red so we can see how it pulls on my skin tone, because I think a lot of you have darker skin tones. You are gonna pull this off no problem. But if you're pale like me, you're probably wondering, is that even gonna work or am I gonna look like a clown? So we're gonna go in with this next. I'm gonna be using the new Sonia G Keyaki Niji Pro. This is a little bit wispier, so I'm just gonna like lightly pick it up. Lightly dust that on, and I feel like I need to buff it in. I also think that if you are going to wear a glowier base, like I'm wearing the Chanel No. 1 foundation, I do feel like you need to have a little bit more of powder underneath for these to blend more seamlessly. I think if I was wearing a foundation that was even just a little less glowy, I wouldn't need to blend this much. I also think what you could do is you could kind of buff your brush into that and then buff it onto your hand so that it's a little bit more integrated on the brush. I don't think that that looks clown-like. I think it's a very pretty red. Is this like the most everyday color for me? It's not, but this is the kind of color that I will use if I really want like a statement cheek. I would do a very simple eye. If I were to do this, I would bring it up a little bit higher, like on the temples here. It's not like my favorite go-to blush shade, but I think that you can definitely make this shade work for a lot of skin tones. Next, I want to go into this berry shade. There's a lot of pigment there. I'm sort of stippling it to show you guys the pigment. That one is very, very pigmented. Wow, this is gonna be great for those of you with deeper skin tones who are like, come on, Chanel, where are the blushes for me? So that is what the berry shade looks like. And then lastly, we're gonna be going into this gold shade right here. Wow. Let me show you guys. The brush picked up so much. And show you what that looks like. That's actually, it's more wearable than I thought. These pack a punch. I'm looking at it on my hand right now, and I do think that this one is a little bit more glittery than the lighter palette, and also more glittery than the luminizers that Chanel launched for holiday. So I think for this, it's the kind of thing where I'm gonna have to take my little buffer and just buff it into the skin, and then it makes it a little bit more harmonious. All right, so this is how we're looking with the cheeks. I actually really like the combination of the red with the gold highlight. I think the gold works, and it's gonna work on a lot of skin tones, but if you're pale like me, you do need to buff it in. And then this is the more berry tone side. Let's do the eyes. First, I'm gonna go in with that softer rose shade, and just like we did last time, I'm gonna apply that as a transition shade. This would be a beautiful one and done shade for just kind of like a soft day look. Next, I'm dipping into the berry shade and applying that all over the lid. I think you can tell that this is a lot more pigmented than the average Chanel eyeshadow. Like, I really don't need to dig into the pan at all to get this onto the brush. I really like that. It still has that soft texture. Like, it's not gonna emphasize any fine lines or texture that you have on your lids. It's just a little bit easier to pick up in the pan than some other Chanel eyeshadows. I'm just gonna take these two shades and kind of match what I did on top to the bottom lash line. Going into the red shade now with my fluffy brush. I wanna see what this would look like if I did a pretty soft look, and then I think I'm gonna try and build up the red. I'm gonna go in with this little pointier pencil brush and see if I can build the red up a little bit in that outer V. See, you can, look how, okay, Chanel, you can build this up. I don't know if you want it to build up the red, but like that was the color that I figured, if anything, you'd be able to build it up. I think that with this product, it really depends on the brush that you use. It's very controllable. If you use a fluffy brush, you're gonna get that classic soft type of application from Chanel. And if you use a more dense brush, you really can build it up. It's kind of up to you how you want to apply this to the eyes and to the cheeks. Okay, so I've got a little bit of like a winged out shape. I think that with this red shade, you need to be careful because it does build up on the eye. You definitely can, with a denser brush, get that pigment to show up. But I did have a little bit of trouble manipulating the pigment on my eye. Getting the perfect shape here definitely required a little bit more like precision and blending. And I don't know if that is exactly, you know, what these palettes were designed for, if that makes sense. I think softer is probably better, but I did want to show you guys, like, you can get the pigment on your eye, but especially with red pigments, I feel like sometimes they can be a little bit hard if you want to do a more precise look. So wanted to just kind of point that out. I'm gonna go into the gold shade last, and just like last time, we are going to apply that to the center of the eye. Contrasts really nicely with the red, kind of just ties the whole look together. It is a stunning gold. I mean, imagine just wearing the gold on its own, or you could go in with the soft rose shade and then a little bit of the gold on top, and that would be a super wearable look. But I definitely wanted to just test out in this application maybe a little bit more of a dramatic look, if that's something that you guys want to do, you know, day to night. All right, my friends, this is the final look using the darker of the two palettes. I just popped on some eyeliner in the shade Eros in that same Yeux Waterproof formula. I actually think I like this look a little bit better, even more so than the lighter palette. I'm gonna take you guys outside and show you what this looks like in a little bit more daylight, super natural. So let's head on out there. Okay, friends, so here's what it looks like outside. Just show you guys. I mostly want to point out how pretty natural the gold highlight looks. It's a lot nicer than I thought it was going to be. I think that the red eyeshadow, I don't know, comment down below and let me know what you think. I think it looks pretty flattering. This is something that I would wear during the day, but I mostly would wear probably like on a weekend, going out to dinner, and I don't think it's so vibrant that people will be like, oh my gosh, she's wearing red eyeshadow, she looks like a clown. But I totally understand if red eyeshadow is not your thing. So just getting up close, showing you guys what that looks like, nice and beautiful and glowy. Comment down below and let me know what you think. Now we're gonna head on over to my final thoughts. All right, friends, it's time for my final thoughts. I hope that all those demos were helpful. I'm gonna let you guys know what I think about each of these products and just be very honest on whether or not I think that they are worth it, because these products are very expensive. I wanna start off first with the eyeliner and the lipstick, just to kind of get those out of the way, and then we can talk more so about the blush and eye palettes. The eyeliner in Or Rose, I really like this. I think if you have some of the other pinkier shades that are in the Chanel eyeliner collection, I don't think you necessarily need this. Does it pair very beautifully with the collection? Yes, I think it does. If I were to recommend another shade that I think would pair well with this collection, it would be the other eyeliner that I'm wearing today, which is in the shade Eros. I think that that kind of deep pink kind of tone pairs really, really well with these. So yeah, this is a good eyeliner. I don't think this is like the thing to pick up in the collection, but I really like it for kind of brightening up the eyes. Now with the Rouge Allure Velvets, I haven't tried any of these new ones before. That's why I decided to pick one up. I love this shade. I think it's pretty dupeable. Like, I don't think that you need it. Look in your collection and take a look. How many like nudie pinky browns do you actually have? But it is a very nice lipstick, and I like the formula of these. They really don't feel like a matte lipstick to me. They feel more like a satin on the lips, but they have a soft matte finish, if that makes sense. Like, they're incredibly lightweight. Even now, I think I put this on maybe like 30 minutes ago. I just reapplied it, and I don't even feel it on my lips. I actually really, really like the formula. You can see it has a matte look, but it's not super drying. So if you're somebody that doesn't like matte lipsticks, you actually might enjoy these. Now we're gonna talk about the face and eye palettes. What do I like about them? What do I not like about them? Should you get them? First off, I like the format. I like this sort of oversized, multi-purpose type of product. I like to be able to take the makeup I have and use it for multiple different things. I like to take my lipstick, use it as a cream blush. I like to take blush palettes, for example, my Hourglass palettes, my Charlotte Tilbury Beautifying Face palette. I like to take my NARS blush palettes, and you guys will know in my reviews of all those products, I like to kind of put them all over the face, get my money's worth. And so I think that this is fun. I really like this type of format. I think it's very interesting that Chanel is launching something like this. We saw Dior do something a little bit similar in their Mitza collection that I reviewed for you guys. I'll link that video down below. Dior did a larger scale eyeshadow palette, not a 5-pan, it was a 12-pan, or was it a 10-pan? I think it was a 10-pan. They're doing that too, and you guys saw in that review, I applied that to my cheeks and to my eyes as well. And so I think a lot of these brands, especially in this economy, they're trying to figure out other ways to like entice us and give us something that maybe we didn't have before, just create a little bit more intrigue. And you know what? It worked on me. I like this format. I also like the fact that this is a bigger value, okay? It does retail for $90, but you're getting 12 grams of product. I feel like this would last me a very long time. Just kind of looking at my notes here, this is $7.5 per gram versus the $32 per gram with an eyeshadow quad. Also, one blush at Chanel is retailing for $47 USD. So for 2 blushes, you could get 4 here. Not a reason to like splurge on this if you don't like all the colors, but it is a better value and I like that. I also like this formula. I like the fact that it's very silky. It is glowy. If you don't like something that's a glowy blush, if you like more of a matte formula, I don't know if I would go for this. I said that a couple times during the demos when I was applying it to my face. Like I said, it kind of reminds me a little bit of maybe like an Hourglass, a Gucci blush, maybe a Pat McGrath and kind of like that pearl formula. It's very finely milled. It's very blendable. I like that it's buildable and I like that it's pigmented. I'm somebody that, you know, I like Chanel, but not every single product is a favorite of mine. I like it when their eyeshadows are a little bit more pigmented. I love the holiday quad, but I didn't like the tweed eyeshadows. They were just a little bit too lightly pigmented for me. And so I think that this is going to please somebody that likes the traditional Chanel formula, but also those people out there that were like, you know, I was kind of hoping for something a little bit more pigmented and maybe something that was a bit of a better value because you can kind of use it in different ways. I also really like the fact that they came out with 2. I think that is great. I really do think the darker one is going to suit a lot of you out there that have darker skin tones. I could have built this up way more on my cheeks, but I think I would have looked like a clown. But you can see here on the eyes just how pigmented that red can be. And I think that some of the other tones in here are gonna look really pretty on the cheeks and on the eyes. So I also really like that they were a little bit more inclusive with the color range as well, especially because the Le Beige collection, it looks so pale and it typically is. And so it's nice that we have another launch that's coming around the same time that can be used for people with different skin tones. What are the things that I don't like about these palettes? You know, I was looking at the color stories. It's not that I don't like the color stories. I think that they're pretty wearable, but I don't know if this is what I would have picked for spring, to be quite honest for you, for spring, summer. I think what they were going for is they wanted to have something a little bit brighter for the summer months, especially with like the red here. But I think for me, like the berry tones, like the prominence of the berry and rose tones in here, that speaks a little bit more fall, winter to me. So that's okay. Like I will still use these tones. I know that we've got like a nice coral. I think that these 2 shades right here, actually mostly the lighter palette, it screams more spring to me. I'm glad they did the deeper palette, but I think if they wanted to make it more summery, they could have chosen maybe like more bronzier shades, something that could double as a bronzer for fair skin and then be more of like a blush for those with deeper and tanner skin tones. This to me looks more of like a holiday release type of thing. But that's just me. They also, in previous years, like some of the recent years, Chanel has come out with a lot of red toned things. And I know a lot of you guys wanted a break from that. And so I kind of have to agree. Like I think them launching so much red and berry in these palettes was kind of doing themselves a disservice. And I would have liked to see maybe some brighter pinks, maybe some like more golds, terracotta, something that kind of just screams summer. Maybe one that was more springy, maybe one that was more summery. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to create a little bit more balance with the Le Beige collection that's going to be coming out. But those are just my thoughts. Like these weren't the first colors that I would select, but I still like them. The other thing that I wanted to mention to you guys is that as I was doing all of the swatching, I have noticed that especially the more reddy and berry tones have stained my hand just a little bit. I think you guys can see that on camera. I did not notice that it stained my eyes when I was switching up my makeup. So I want to mention that. I think that if you're going to be applying these, maybe apply them over your foundation or like a powdered base, something like that. Mostly for like these types of shades. If you're just going to be applying them to bare skin, just know there might be like a tiny bit of staining, but keep in mind too, like when I'm swatching, I'm like really, laying the pigment on there. If you're just brushing it across your face, you may not notice any staining, but it is something that I just want to mention in case. I haven't gotten any kind of irritation or hives from these. I usually get that if it's more of like a purple toned palette. All of that being said, should you get these palettes, I like to end my reviews with some questions that I think you need to ask yourself, because I like these palettes. I think that they are worth it for me. I'm really excited to use these throughout the spring and summer, but that doesn't mean that you need to go rush out and get them. The first thing I think you need to ask yourself, which might be obvious, is look at each of these colors individually. Go into your blush and eyeshadow collection and ask yourself, do you have these colors already, whether it be the lighter palette or the darker palette? Because I definitely think that these shades are dupable. These are not groundbreaking color stories. Do you need to pay $90 for 4 shades that maybe you already have? I think specifically with the lighter one is more dupable, okay? The sales associate made a really good point when I was looking at these in the store, and she said, you know what, I'm gonna get the darker one because she felt like she already had these shades, and this one really reminded her of Charlotte Tilbury. I actually do think the lighter one, Tendresse, it is very Charlotte Tilbury-esque. I think that when I use the Beautifying Face palette, when I use the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Dreams, it's a very similar vibe. I also think that the lighter palette is very similar in color story to the Guerlain Quad, which is called Majestic Rose. I have a review of that palette. I'll link it down below. Also, guys, comment down below if you want me to do a separate video doing comparisons. Start submitting your requests down below because I'd be happy to do another video where I do some swatch comparisons. But right off the bat, I thought, you know what? When I actually put this on the eyes, it gives me the experience of Guerlain Majestic Rose, of Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk. It's like, ask yourselves if you really need like another like nudie pink palette. If these were the same shades, but in like NARS packaging, would you want them, or do you want them because they're like in this beautiful oversized Chanel one? Also ask yourself, are you going to use every single one of the shades in these palettes? If you don't use red tone blush or red tone eyeshadow, maybe don't get this one. If you don't think that this color is gonna show up on your skin tone because it is the lightest one between the two palettes, then maybe don't get this one. Really ask yourself, are you going to use all of these colors, or are you just gonna reach for the same shade every single time? In which case, probably better to just get a blush single. You don't need to get this big palette if you're not gonna use all of the shades. The last thing I would ask myself is, do you like this larger format? Like, is this convenient for you? For me, I like to put this all over my cheeks and my eyes. I kind of do that already with a lot of the palettes in my collection. If you don't find yourself really doing that, this might not really be for you. If you're somebody that you like to go for something that is very much like a curated color story when it comes to eyeshadow, and this is more of a blush palette to you, maybe you don't really see the value there. So ask yourself, like, do you like this larger format? I think at the end of the day, I definitely don't think that you need to get both of these. If I was a regular person and I wasn't reviewing these, I probably would have just gotten the lighter one because this one is a little bit more effortless for me to use. And maybe if they had launched this in another season, I would be a little bit more into this color story right now, but I really don't think that you need to get both. All in all, friends, I like this release from Chanel. I think that these are really beautiful. The formula is really lovely, but I don't think that the color stories are necessarily groundbreaking. And if you already have a lot of Chanel makeup in your collection, you might already have these shades. So just ask yourself, is this really something that's going to be adding to your collection? Are you going to be using all the shades? And that's all I have to say. I hope that you guys like this review. I hope that you found it helpful. If you like this review, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up. I would very much appreciate that. And also, most importantly, sound off in the comments section down below. If you pick these up, do let us know what you think about them. Let us know which of the palettes you got and what your skin tone and your skin type is so we can learn a little bit more and help each other out. Also, please submit your requests for what types of comparisons you would like to see. So yeah, let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. And with that, friends, I hope that you are having a fantastic day, and I will see you in my next one. Goodbye.